We're taking out the Su-27 now on the live server, so we'll see how this plane ends up. It seems like it's probably the most popular between the F-15 and the Su-27, I would say, which is the most popular. And I think I've seen a bit more of them than F-15s, but of course I've seen quite a bit of both. Of course, the meta loadout is going to be the 4 ERs, 2 ETs, and 4 R-73s. It has a decent radar, not quite as good as the MiG-29 SMT, but you'll see here I fire this ER from a decent range, not quite as far as you can definitely fire them. You can definitely fire them further. I got that kill there. Though it did seem they changed multipathing, which if you didn't know, multipathing is the thing that causes missiles to go for the ground, like the radar to not be able to differentiate between the ground and the aircraft when they're close down. It seems like they made it a little bit harder. You have to fly closer to the ground now, which is a bit nice. So just you have to try either fly closer to the ground or use actual tactics like go cold and chaff, notch the missile, you know. Um, but that's personally, I kind of like that change a little bit because I'm just not a fan of the flying close to the ground, and it's not something I personally enjoy. I'm sure everyone will have their own opinions on that, and that's fine. But if you see the last game, one of the things I'll say is I do hope that they reproduce the player count. Having 16 people on a team, and having at least 6 missiles. Or well, unless you're Mirage 2000, then you have 4. But for the most part, everyone else has at least 6 missiles, and a lot have 8. And now you have 10 on the Su-27 and J-11. So here we're firing. We are firing a what was it? Route 35, I think, a kilometer shot with the ER, and I think this will hit. This guy isn't evading whatsoever, which he has plenty of time. Another thing I'll mention is, yeah, I'll grab him right here. And another thing I'll mention is that if you fire an ER, you can turn around. If someone fires a missile at you, you can turn around. You can go cold and chaff, evade their missile, turn back around and relock, and your missile can still hit them, assuming it's still like going in their general direction and isn't past them already. It should still have the energy. Yeah, and It'll still keep going to like the last place. It thought that they were. It will keep going the direction it would be going. Of course, that guy was below me and below and just behind me. And I realized too late. Tried to turn a little bit away in chaff, but it's pretty hard to evade radar missiles when they're coming from almost directly under you. So that's just another thing you have to pay attention for that. Having less people on teams would help. And also, I mean, that was obviously like an EC size map, which should be, I think it was 120. Yeah, it was Afghanistan, so it's 128 by 128 kilometers. But just especially for smaller maps, it's worse when you have people all over the place. For the EC size maps, it's not as bad. People tend to spread out a little bit more, not quite as much as you would hope, maybe. Especially with, again, 16 players on each team is just on an EC size map. Maybe it wouldn't be too bad if everyone was actually spread out. But people don't spread out all that much. It is better than smaller maps, though. But also, another thing, I don't do too much in this video. I'm not sure if I show it at all, but what you can do is if you switch to TWS, previously you could launch, though it was a bug, you could directly just launch in TWS. If you go into TWS, you lock someone, you can fire the missile and then unlock them as long as you stay in TWS. Now, another thing with all these enemies, it's hard to keep your target you chose on TWS, is it'll keep trying to switch to a different target. When you unlock, it'll just choose a different target for some reason. It'd be easier if there were less people. But using TWS, what you can do is it will use data link on the R-27ER, and you doing that, what it will do is it'll guide the missile in the general direction of the enemy, and then once your missile gets a bit closer, you can lock them up. So while they will probably have that initial launch warning, they won't have. They'll lose the launch warning and they'll lose the lock warning until you relock them, and then they'll gain a bit, both back. But by that time, it'll probably be too late. Um, but also, assuming that they have like broken your lock on your missile, what you can do is, assuming they turn back around and everything, you can unlock and relock them. I don't see too many people doing this. So you can again use the same missile. If you know what you're doing, it's not the easiest thing to do. Um, I think I'll fire a few ETs here though. I think they all get flared, if I remember correctly. Which, yeah, fire this one down here. And I'll fire that. I've been getting unlucky though. No, this one will hit. All right, both will hit actually. I was thinking of a different match, so I'm sorry. But also, I will say that and then this R73 will hit. So I will end up with 3 quick kills, but I wasn't paying attention to who was behind me, and I got hit by 9L. And we're gonna go on to the next battle in just a second here. But if you didn't know, the R-27 ET had its flare rejection a bit buffed. I believe its seeker is a little bit smaller now, so it did use that kind of ECCM, so it made it, after launch, it made its seeker smaller. And I think pre-launch now, the seeker is also slightly smaller. Uh, but it definitely is. Previously, if the missile got within like a kilometer or two, then it was a bit harder to flare at that point. But now it seems that it's a bit better doing that at a few kilometers, like 4 or 5 kilometers. If you get within that range, if you're further than that and they flare, it'll probably you know track the flares instead. But if the missile gets within closer than that before they actually flare, you'll probably be good. Probably will not see those flares, which is nice. Nice for anyone using R-27 ETs. Anyone who's not so much. But yeah, with also that's another thing. You have 4 R-27 ERs, 2 ETs. You could take out a total of 6 ERs if you would like. Personally, I think that the best option um, would be to take just the 4 ERs. I've never really found myself needing to use more than that. I don't think I've even used the total of 4. I've used maybe like 3 in a match so far. But usually that is due to like someone defeating it and then me launching another and getting a kill or something like that. And I don't think this one will hit, but I think I believe this should be an F-14, and I will end up getting him with an ET. So you'll see that in just a second. Unless this one does hit. I can't. No, it will not. Let's see. Yeah, it'll just miss. And then I will, once I get a bit closer, see, it's in a 14. He should kill that Su-27, my friendly Su-27 down there. And then I launch an ET using the lock. And what you don't see over here is that there's another MiG-29. There's an enemy MiG-29. And of course, we have our lovely spotting system here. And of course, I don't do the best to defend it. I'm kind of just thinking he's a bit further away because there's no one near me. I thought. You'll see him in just a second. He's right down there. It's hard to see him in the video, but I could see his little dot. He's fairly close. I assume he's probably around 4 or 5 kilometers away. So I didn't chaff quick enough. I thought he was a bit further than he was because I would assume I would have been able to see him, seeing as though I was that close. But just gotta pay a bit more attention. As you can see, I've been flying high pretty much all these battles. And I will end up launching this first ER fairly soon. And it will. I'm not sure. I think what he did was he just flew close enough to the ground, which, like I was mentioning earlier, you need to fly a lot closer to the ground. Also, I keep mentioning lowering team sizes, though I do think if they do that, There's definitely like you'll see with the not this recent air superiority update, but the previous update, they did add a new bar on some missiles that shows like the basically like the no escape range, the MAR, the minimum abort range, basically the range at which they can't like out energy the missile. Of course, they can still defeat it by flying to the ground or turning around and chaffing. So what I think he did is he just flew close enough to the ground. And they'll fire another ER right here, and this will hit. Yeah, I guess he just gets a little too high. In real life, you need to fly like really close to the ground, as in like treetop level. In game, you could previously fly like a couple 100 feet above the ground. Though it seemed, like I was saying, it seemed like I lower that. I believe I do flare off this missile. I actually don't. I have to run away from it just enough. I'm not sure if you could see it in this video very well. I could see it. It got pretty close, but I managed to just barely pull away. But the ability to have all these ERs, and like you saw, like on the MiG-29, you can have. I usually carried one ER and one ET, which now that I can have two ETs and four ERs is incredible. You can constantly re-engage, and especially seeing as though the ER is just better than the 7F. Even if you even if you don't really evade, you don't really need to if it's a seven. If you know it's a 7F. Now, unfortunately, this RWR doesn't like tell you which plane it is, and since we are having pretty much every country, like we're having U.S. and Russia on both teams, you can't just be like, oh well, we have these countries on this team, so I know that this is going to be like a 7F. And that just barely missed. Um, but just but if let's say you know it's a 7F for some reason, you can, if you fire at the same time, or even if you fire like right after, your yeah, if you fire about the same time, your will get there before their 7M will get to you. So all you have to do is just fly in a straight line, and once you kill them, I mean, personally, I would be at least turning around a little bit, turning off to the side, just so you give a bit more distance between between yourself and their missile. Um, and we're gonna end up firing, I think, our last R-73 at him, and you can see just the maneuverability of Su-27 at lower speeds. We're gonna fire this at him, but it will be flared, and we'll end up getting him in a second with guns. I will be using the HMD to, you'll see in just a second. I will lock onto him and use guns. I think it should be it'll just be in this turn real quick. There we go. We should get him right here. Yep. And this is partially my fault. I should have been paying a bit more attention. I did not intend to smash into that F-15. But I will say that's another benefit of having smaller teams. It's, when there's going to be less clusters like that, you're not going to be able to fly into each other as well. Or you're not going to have, you're not going to be flying into each other as much if you have lower team counts, which I would personally enjoy. Another thing I would enjoy is I might make a video on this in the future, just being more specific, but having an EC mode for RB, kind of like, if you don't know, simulator battles, it's almost set up as like an event. It's not normal battles where you just go in, it's real quick, and usually lasts like 10 minutes. It's about 3 hours long. They can go faster, assuming that you like win before you drain out the tickets, which is possible. And it can, depending on the plane you use and tactics, you can win a game, sim game, fairly quickly. But similar to that, you have multiple airfields, and you can choose any of them to spawn, and you can continuously respawn in any of your planes that you bring in your lineup, and basically you just have to pay a spawn cost instead of a repair cost. For some at least, that's the way it works. I don't know how much I love that. I feel like I would rather a repair cost, so you don't have to pay to spawn in the first place. I don't know. That's just the way it is. Don't actually, I can't remember if you have to pay to spawn in the first spawn. Um, don't ask me that question because I don't know. Should I know these things? Probably. But just if we have an ARBEC mode, that would be super nice. I'm sorry not giving too good of commentary on these. I'm just trying to talk about the game in general along with the Su-27. It's going to be, I mean, it is a very strong plane. While it is good in dogfights, it just doesn't matter all that much in at least ARB. It might matter a bit more in air sim, though some of those air sim games can be a little bit clustery too. People can get together, so you can't dogfight for too long. But your ability to pull around real quick, along with HMD and R73s, you're gonna do pretty well. You're gonna, if you know what you're doing, you can clean up someone real quick. And I've been following this guy for a while now. This does end up being an F-15, and he starts to turn around. So I fire an ER at him. It will miss, and then I will end up firing an ET at him in a bit. But I mean, I feel personally, I feel like this game could be improved a lot. Like, I mean, I still play it, so I obviously don't hate it that much. But I feel like just with a few simple things, it could be improved a lot. But yeah, as you see, he did defeat that ER. I'm gonna fire this ET when it locks up. In just a second here, I'll tell you right now, it won't hit. And despite the fact that I've been chasing this guy for this long, what you don't see on screen, what you just heard actually, is that MiG-29, who's going to come in and, the ET blew up, it lost lock, because of course it did. And he's going to kill him real quick before I can. I've been chasing him for over 2 minutes now, and then he's going to get him right there. Which sucks, but there's worse things. And I'm going to cut this right here and be back in just a second because I'm going to be chasing the last guy for a few minutes and I'm not, there's no point in leaving that in. It's going to be boring and you guys won't want to watch it. So I'll be back in just a second. So I pulled out a blind hunt on the last guy and I was chasing him for quite a while. And I actually cut about 4 minutes before just now. So what I have is I'm going to try and get him with an ET. So I switched to TWS to just hold him. I don't want to be locking him and spook him any more than I have to. He does know I'm coming though. He's flying back to his airfield. And as you can see, I launched that. And it's a MiG-29. So, and that will actually hit. And I'm not sure what he had. I'm not sure if he had any missiles left or what. But I just know he was going back to his airfield. He was actually killing AI air vehicles. So I don't know, but I chased him down. I didn't want that was the last guy, so I didn't want the match to last any longer than I needed to. I've already spent plenty of time chasing down someone else, so just want to make sure I got that guy. Overall, the Su-27 is going to be a very strong vehicle, even in the current way the game is. Of course, there's some small ways, in my opinion, at least, that the game could be greatly improved. I would enjoy it. I think a lot of other people enjoy it, and I think that they could easily have both ARBEC and the way it is now for anyone who wants to play that, and then anyone who wants to play ARBEC. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It'll help me out a lot, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.